Please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's have our roll call, please.
Mayor Mashaki,
Here.
Mrs. Gilmore,
Here.
Mr. Costa,
Here.
Mr. Klaus,
Here.
Ms. Schneider. No, she's here. Paula, she's here.
She will be here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's time for the minutes, so how about, is there a motion to approve the regular committee minutes of September 10th, 2019?
So moved.
Second.
Who did the first, Jerry?
Jerry
Jerry.
did.
Mr. Klaus,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa,
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki.
Yes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the executive session of September 10th, 2019?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
No, I had a slight change, which I sent to the clerk. I guess it was too late to be considered. But yeah, I'm going to have to vote no on those executive session minutes.
Mayor Mashaki.
Yes. Reports, we have the tax collector, code enforcement, fire official, construction, and emergency services reports for August, well, with regard to tax collector, September 2019, the third quarter ending September 2019, code enforcement, September 2019, fire official, September 2019, construction, September 2019, emergency services, August and September 2019. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki.
Yes. Comments from the public for agenda items only. Gentleman with the Phillies hat.
Good evening. My name is Louis Luke. I live 98 11th Drive in Mount Holly Township. Can you explain the agenda item 2019 -9 and your resolution H? What is that?
What's the question?
For your proposed ordinance 2019-9. What's that at?
That is
I'll
up
read
to
it.
public.
Yeah, that's the redevelopment plan that was part of the public hearing in a few minutes on redevelopment for a portion of the town off Industrial Boulevard. And then H is designating a redeveloper for that new development. And so that'll be a whole public hearing in a little bit if you will just wait and be part of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? With regard to agenda items? Going once, twice, not seeing any hands. That takes us to discussion presentation portion of tonight's meeting. We have the 2019 Best Practices Questionnaire, and who's here to, is that you, Paul?
Yes, thank you. So we are required to include our 2019 best practices as part of our agenda in our public meeting. Just wanted to report to the body that the 84-question inventory was completed by myself and the CFO and submitted to the state, I believe today, if not today, tomorrow. Some of the categories include core competencies, best practices, and an unscored survey with question content, scoring topics such as personnel, budget, financial and administration, capital projects, shared services, planning and economic development, and affordable housing, just to name some of the areas that we had to answer some questions to the state on. Scores of 30 and above receive full aid. I'm happy to announce that we scored 41. So again, this year we will receive full 100% ETR state aid as a result of our scoring. And the past 5 years we received about $380,000 from the state.
Great. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Ordinances. Ordinance 2019-9, which is adopting the redevelopment plan for certain properties identified as Block 96, Lot 1, Lot 1.02, 1.03, and 1.07, Block 96.01, Lot 1, Block 96.02, Lot 1, Block 83.01, Lots 1, 2, and 3. And that's for public hearing and final adoption. Any,
Do we want to,
anyone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
do we want to let Scott do his
Yeah, I
presentation
think
on
so.
it?
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, over the last 4 months, beginning back in June, the Township Committee requested that the Joint Land Use Board undertake a study to determine if the parcels just read were in fact met the statutory criteria to be an area in need of redevelopment. That plan was prepared and adopted by the Joint Land Use Board, and subsequently the Township Committee passed a resolution stating that the area did in fact meet the criteria and is an area in need of redevelopment. The next step in that process, as all of you know, is the preparation of a redevelopment plan. This is a plan that you have a copy of in front of you, and it is dated September 9, 2019. It was introduced at your last meeting. The plan, as set forth under the local redevelopment and housing law, allows for a municipality to come up with flexible development standards to help effectuate economic development or redevelopment of a site. As all of you know, for decades, the Hainesport Township master plans and your redevelopment plans have really tried to focus on revitalizing and developing along the Route 38 corridor. This plan helps to effectuate a lot of those goals of the master plan. The plan goes through and it establishes, and it basically consists of those 9 parcels, those 9 lots that you had identified, located along Route 38 in the location of the former and vacated Industrial Boulevard and what is now the Lawrence Boulevard driveway that goes through the site, also known as this area of Paul's Tank Farm and the Stevens property. Comprises about 56 acres. A majority of the redevelopment plan at this time, and I'll refer to an exhibit on the easel. The property, and for reference, Route 38 is shown in this part of the property. Jug handle is in this location. Wawa a little bit further to the east. Industrial uses to the south, fronting on Berry Drive. The redevelopment plan sets forth and establishes a new Lawrence Boulevard redevelopment area zoning district. And that zoning district encompasses those areas that are essentially rendered here, and that comprises all of Block 96.01 and a majority of Block 96.01, Lot 1. And those are the properties in the middle. The properties further to the west, which are known as Paul's Tank Farm, the Trap Rock properties, the Verizon properties, are all going to remain in their existing industrial and highway commercial zoning designations. And the properties that are located along the Route 38 frontage will also be retained within the highway commercial zoning designation in hopes of future commercial development along the frontage. The redevelopment plan, as presented, envisions the construction of a 478,000 square foot industrial or warehouse or distribution facility. The plan sets forth the permitted uses that will be permitted in the Lawrence Boulevard redevelopment area zoning district. It also establishes bulk standards for setbacks, minimum number of required parking spaces, as well as design standards for landscaping, buffering, fences, and building sustainability practices, as well as architecture design standards. So as indicated before, it focuses on this. The area that's being retained along Route 38 ranges in depth from about 175 feet at its narrowest point to upwards of over 200 to 225 feet to try to have some viable commercial. As we know, as we've gone through this process, while the town has embraced industrial in this location, particularly because its adjacency with existing developed industrial uses, we did want to try to be able to capitalize on that highway frontage and try to retain that for future commercial, retail, or other office or other highway commercial businesses in that area. So this plan sets forth zoning to effectuate the plan as presented. There are design standards as well in there. Upon adoption of this plan, the redeveloper would still have to go and make application to the Joint Land Use Board for full subdivision and/or site plan approval, just like any other land development application. So this is sort of one of the middle steps of a multi-step approach, as we've talked about with some other projects. So there would still be public notice, additional public hearings as required during the Joint Land Use Board process. The plan goes on to address how it effectuates those goals of the master plan, as well as the required statutory elements based on the local redevelopment and housing law. That is a general overview. If committee has any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But that was the well, I was going to say 4-minute version, but I guess it was the 9-minute version.
Okay. That being said, any questions from the committee? Ted?
No.
Leila?
I'm good.
Lee? I'm good. Jared? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Not seeing any hands raised. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-9?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolutions. Resolution 2019-148-10, authorizing advertisement request for qualifications for professional services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-149-10, authorizing the CFO to refund a permit fee to Spectrum Energy, Inc. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-150-10, authorizing a lien for property maintenance expenses for the property located at 6 Applewood Court. Is there a motion?
So move. Second?
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-151-10, authorizing a lien for property maintenance expenses for the property located at 10 Maple Lane. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-152-10, authorizing a lien for property maintenance expenses for the property located at 2 Wharton Place. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-153-10, authorizing a lien for property maintenance expenses for the property located at 1327 Wood Green Lane. Is there a motion?
Yes.
Motion.
I'll take a second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmore?
Yes.
Gilmore? Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-154-10, authorizing the execution of a contract with Brownfield Environmental Brownfield Environmental Solutions, Inc., BRS, for grant writing services. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Resolution 2019-155-10, designating a master redeveloper for certain property known as the Lawrence Boulevard redevelopment area, blocks 96, lots 1, 1.02, 1.03, and 1.07, block 96.01, lot 1, block 96.02, lot 1, and block 83.01, lots 1, 2, and 3. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. And Resolution 2019-156-10, setting hours for full-time and part-time employment status for Hainesport. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
You gotta know. Second.
I defer to you.
Oh, I did. That was me.
Lee was first. I
Right.
think Leila...
We're fighting over
Lee was
second.
Who's second?
Who's on first?
Okay.
Me.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve business licenses on the attached list for tonight?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes, as long as I'm not on there, I'm not on there. Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. All right, comments from the public. And this is open season, so anyone? There, show of hands, anyone? Lady in the blue shirt there. I'm sorry, ma'am, but she beat you to it, right here. You? Oh, okay, you can go first.
Letitia Kelly, 525 Lumberton Road. I would like to bring to the Township's Committee's attention that we have two residents in this township that are turning 100 years old. I learned, I sent something to the school board because both of them were involved with the schools at one time during the past 100 years. It was brought up to my attention at that meeting that maybe the Township Committee would like to do something. And when I talked to Paula earlier this afternoon, because everything kind of went together, I didn't have a chance to put anything together for you. She talked about doing a proclamation for each of these women, and on the board out front, talking about when their birthday was. Happy birthday, Helen Walters Everham, on October 22nd. She was born 1919. And Nina Matson, born November 29th, 1919. And I will give the paperwork that I gave to the school, because I had hoped that they would also recognize them at their school board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Margie, you were next.
Margie Colby, New Jersey Avenue. I am here about the animal control person, and I want to know what is being done, what can be done, and how do we get rid of them?
Well, I think you know him, and if you don't,
I don't know him, because if I did,
there was I think a complaint was filed against this individual,
yes.
West Hampton Court, and right now it's under investigation, so it would be improper for us to comment on that, because there's an outstanding criminal complaint. Only it's not approved yet, but a complaint was filed. By that I mean a complaint's been filed, but he hasn't been charged because it's still being investigated, and that's why it would be improper for us to comment on it. But two things. A, this committee will not tolerate mistreatment of animals by someone who's working on behalf of the township. And the contracts are up at the end of the year. The first resolution authorizing advertisement for request for qualification for professional services. There are several contracts included in that request. That's one of them.
Okay, my other question would be, what exactly do you have to investigate when you have video footage of this man doing what he was doing?
the complaint's not before us. I mean, as you know, we share services with West Hampton with regard to the court system. That complaint was filed there, and it's my understanding it's still under investigation. What that entails, I do not know.
Okay, well, I would hope that this committee, if they find that, you know, he is, I mean, I've seen the video, I feel he's guilty. I would think that they would just get rid of him, because I don't think that should be tolerated anywhere.
Well, we agree, but we just can't express an opinion because the
Okay,
charges.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Bob Maziarz. I live over on Lark Lane,
I'm sorry, sir, what number?
1428. And I'm here about the pickleball courts. We've been getting complaints in our neighborhood, number one, about the parking. They're parking in the neighborhood, blocking the mailboxes, blocking sometimes trash pickup. We discussed it with the organizers of the Pickleball Association, which is a national organization and a statewide organization, and they have agreed on weekends that they will use the parking lot provided by the town, but the weekday people, they're still parking on Lark Lane and sometimes on Croft Court. Also, the noise level. And you might not think it's a big deal, but it is. The normal noise level of an ordinary day is between 40 and 48 decibels. The park noise is about 50 decibels, whereas pickleball goes from 61 to 67 decibels. And it starts at 6 o'clock in the morning and goes all the way to dark. Now, we have a nice pickleball court. I don't play pickleball, but it looks like a great place to play pickleball. That noise level multiplied by 6, because there are 6 courts out there, a normal game takes about 2,000 hits. So now you have 6 games playing at one time, so you do the math. So we'd like to have them, or someone from the town, tell them that they should put a wrapping around the court, maybe about 3 feet off the ground, which would hold the noise level down, but you'd still be able to see what's going on inside in case somebody falls down or some little child gets in there during the daytime and something's going on. We would like to, know about it. The other thing is there's a lot of language that goes on that we shouldn't be hearing in public, especially the people that live next door. And I have witnessed them going off to the court urinating in the bushes. I'm going to get it on camera if you want it, but, so,
Just take it at the right angle.
yes, yeah. And because it's such a nice place to play pickleball, there are people who come from as far away as Florida to play, because I can get you their plate numbers, and they come from New York. So they're coming from all over the state, plus parts of the country, and they're advertising it on Facebook and other places, social media. And I'm not sure about Facebook, I'm not that Facebook person, but social media is how they organize the games. Maybe somebody from here should schedule the games. Also, if there's adults there from 6 o'clock in the morning to dark, when do the school kids get to use it? Which was the understanding, as far as I know, that this was part of the school. The other question is, no one suggested to anybody in the neighborhoods or asked anybody in the neighborhoods if they could put a pickleball court there. I remember when they put the 2 bridges, these little wooden bridges, they sent out a letter to everybody, certified mail, that cost $7 a piece, to see if anybody had any objections to putting up the 2 little wooden bridges. But the only way I found out a pickleball court was going up was I asked the guy who was a contractor working on it, I said, "What are you building?" He said, "Pickleball." I said, "What's that?" Because I had never heard of it before. But apparently it's a big deal and they're trying to get it into the Olympics. So we have done a lot of research. I'm going to turn this over to the town. We've come up with a list of solutions. Number one, they have better technology on paddles that make it quieter. They drill a lot more holes in the paddles. They have certain kinds of balls that they are required to use in certain areas. And this is not a problem just in Hainesport, it's a problem all over the country, especially in Florida. So I'd just like to leave this information here, and I'd like to take it into consideration. Thank you.
Could you leave it with Paula, sitting to my left? And we'll look into that, sir. See what we can do to help you out.
Thank you. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Rebecca Fregosi, 1306 Tasker Avenue. I know that you've already addressed with the animal control officer. I just want to let you know that it isn't just this one person who is complaining about it. I'd like to also be put on the record that somebody like this needs to be removed, because if what was actually videoed makes me wonder what he's doing when he's not being seen.
Good point.
So I just want to put my 2 cents in and let you know it's just not one person. I know in Hainesport happenings, a lot of people were commenting on it. I don't know how many people are here tonight, but many of the Hainesport citizens are very, very upset about it.
Yeah, I've gotten some emails about it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to escape our scrutiny, I assure you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Young man in the back. I think I know him.
Anthony Porto, 403 Martin Highway, Hainesport. Just want to add, since a lot of comments have already been made, just want to put on the record as a resident, I think that the township should certainly look at replacing the animal control officer in question. If he has evidence to the contrary, then the committee will examine that. But if there's nothing to refute it, I think what we've seen on social media with the videos, I think he warrants at the very least an investigation to look into whether he should be serving the residents and the poor animals of our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Good seeing you, Tony.
Anyone else? Gentleman in the front row.
Thomas Holster, 5 Glen Court. I presented my complaint at last month's meeting about my neighbor who erected a fence on my property. This township seems to take the stance that it is my responsibility to sue the offender in civil court. My neighbor, Assemblyman Ryan Peters' fence is not just a few feet over my property line, it is over 23 feet onto my property. Mr. Peters did not obtain a permit for the fence. I do not understand why the township acts like they have no enforcement powers, as they have a code enforcement officer. If I were a contractor who did not obtain a permit, I would be fined. As a homeowner who did not maintain my property, again, I would be fined. I would hope the township is not bowing to the political power by not fining Mr. Peters for his unpermitted fence. These are township ordinances that every resident must obey. I believe this sets a bad precedent for the residents of Hainesport Township. As a victim of Mr. Peters' actions, I do not think I should be the one to pay for its remedy. I'd just like to bring that again to your attention. Thank you.
Just for clarity's sake, we're not the hearing board for that violation. Whoever polices that can certainly issue whatever citation. What's that?
We can't hear you back there.
I said, we're not the hearing board for that type of violation. You can certainly make the request that a violation be issued, and the process will take its place.
Okay, to me, it's pretty cut and dry. We have surveys, we have boundaries, you're talking about lot and blocks, very clear what's what and whose is whose, and I just think all residents should be made to live by that. Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? All right, seeing no hands, it'll take us to comments from our administrator. Paula?
Thank you. Tara and I recently met with resident Diana Vospikian, who is willing to volunteer and assist the clerk's office with the 2020 census by chairing a complete count committee for Hainesport as a volunteer. We met with her last week, and our next meeting is scheduled for the end of this month. We are looking for 2 more residents to help us with various activities and marketing efforts for the upcoming census. We continue to have informal economic development meetings with landowners and developers. We are working with Taylor Design Group and developing marketing materials for key properties available for redevelopment. These materials are actually being shipped out to California for the National Brownfields Conference by our EPA District 2 representatives. So we're putting together 50 packets, and they're going to ship them out in December out to California. We will also create a web page on our municipal website to market these properties as well. Deputy Mayor Gilmore and I attended both the ICSC Retail Industry Conference in Philadelphia and the Governor's Conference on Economic Development and Housing last month. Both experiences were beneficial and productive for Hainesport Township. We have actually received several follow-up phone calls from engineers, realtors, and developers as a result of those conferences. I met with EPA Region 2 representative and BRS, who you all authorized tonight to write the community-wide assessment grant and a cleanup grant, a $500,000 cleanup grant with EPA. We met with our representative to find out why we were not awarded a grant this past year, and actually our Region 2 in general did not receive many awards. Actually, out of 36 applications, only 3 were awarded this year. All right, so now that we know the areas that we need to approve upon, we are confident that we will be awarded this next round. I want to congratulate John Gillespie for recently being appointed to the Virtua Foundation Board.
Thank you.
Aren't you also on another one? A couple of them. So he was recently nominated for Virtua, so I wanted to congratulate him. I also wanted to address Mr. Holster. That is not a code violation, that would be a zoning issue, and I want to assure you that it has been addressed. I have made contact with Mr. Peters, and he is coming in to file his permit application for that, so we are absolutely working on that. We are giving him the same due process that we would any other resident.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
John?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the committee. Just 2 things. One, thank you very much, Paula. Just so everyone understands, on this animal control officer issue, this is something that the Township Committee takes seriously, but when it was brought to my attention, it was my advice that because it is under investigation in West Hampton, and as the mayor said, we share that court with West Hampton, I suggested and I advised that we stand down, let that investigation be concluded. Why do a companion investigation that some other town's police department is doing and await the outcome of that and then decide what the proper course of action is. We're under an existing contract. It can be canceled, but rather than get the township into some litigation that at the end of December, that contract doesn't exist anymore anyway, that was my advice. So the committee takes this very seriously, but as far as the request to take action, it was my advice to just keep your powder dry until we see what happens in the West Hampton investigation. And then just to piggyback on Paula's comments to Mr. Holster, I just kind of take exception. Your statement was, quote, "The township seems to take the position that it's up to you to sue your neighbor." I don't know where that comes from. At the last meeting, the mayor on behalf of the committee said it will be looked into. I got involved because at the time you had an attorney who wrote a letter to the township, so that involved my participation. I've spoken to Mr. Peters. Paul is right. He's coming in, going to address it, and hopefully by this time next month, you'll come in and say thanks to the committee. I thought to the
Thank
committee.
you.
All right, sure thing. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Okay, comments from the committee, starting from my extreme right. Ted?
Evening, everybody. I had the pleasure of attending a fundraising event at ShopRite. Many people from the township, both elected officials and non-elected officials, were invited to have a little fun that day. We became baggers, so I had the opportunity to show up as a bagger adjacent to the cashier. It was a lot of fun, actually, and to raise some money for charity or for good deeds, that's all the well as well. But for those who participated, I know that some here did, it was a great experience, and I thank all of you who did
Like
participate.
Lucille Ball at one point, it was coming faster than you could beg.
Oh, I'm being reminded that the conveyor belt at the ShopRite cash, that the ShopRite cashiers have, has a constant speed. Now, I didn't know you can press a lever and slow it down.
You can.
So if anyone has seen I Love Lucy with the chocolate conveyor belt, you know, where she doesn't know what to do with all the chocolate balls and starts putting them in her dress or her blouse, that's what we felt like after a while. And nobody told me. So at times it was going a little bit too fast for me as I was talking with people. But eventually I learned, so I didn't have to put the food into my shirt or jacket. But anyway, another thing, we do hear your concerns, and just because we don't comment on them doesn't mean we're not seriously interested. That just means they need some further follow-up, including the pickleball court issue. All of us are property owners. We value our quality of life. We value yours. So when you bring up an issue like that, certainly we're going to listen and have somebody look into it, if not ourselves, and see if some happy medium can be addressed. That is, after all, our job up here. And that's all I have to say. Have a nice October.
Leila?
Okay, so once again, it's an opportunity to remind everybody about the Senior Citizens Club. I know Kitty isn't here tonight, but the meetings are the second and the fourth Thursday of the month, and next month in November, they do plan on celebrating Nina's 100th birthday at the meeting. So hopefully we'll be able to give her a proclamation at that time. I want to thank Paula Tiber and Donna Casey for the 2 movie nights that were extremely successful here. They do such a fantastic job with the recreation for the community. I can't thank them enough. Public Works has been very busy. I noticed fixing the 2 benches in front of the street building. They came out fabulous, and they just are there whenever we need them, and I hope that everybody has a chance to see the new pavilion and the walkway that's finally been completed on the east side of the building. It looks fabulous, and it's a perfect spot for weddings or just saying, for community events, and I think we'll get a lot of use out of it in the coming years. It just looks fabulous. I also want to thank Scott Taylor for producing that fabulous brochure. It was a great help for us when we attended the convention. Many people stopped by the table to comment on it from other towns, no less the people coming through. I feel that it really gave us a selling point that other people didn't have and put Hainesport out there a little bit. We've been getting lots of emails and phone calls with regards to properties now, and I'm confident that something will definitely come from this, so thank you. However, we still have other work for you to do, just so you know. That's it.
Thanks, Leah. Lee?
Yes, I would also like to congratulate John Gillespie, and thank you everyone for coming out tonight.
Jerry?
Congratulations to John, and I hope everybody's enjoying this nice fall weather. And next month we have an election. I hope you all come out and exercise your right to vote, let your voice be heard. And thank you all for coming out.
Well, thanks, John, for your presentation tonight, and thank you and congratulations for all the acknowledgments that you received that were mentioned tonight. Scott, thanks for your presentation. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I hope you found it informative, and those of you that register your complaints, either with regard to animal control or the pickleball court, rest assured we will look into them. Have a safe and happy Halloween, and we'll see you next month. Before, just so you know, we're going into executive session. There may be action taken when we come out of executive session. So, time to pay the bills.
Yep,
The motion to pay the bills.
so move.
Second?
Mrs. Schneider?
Close enough.
It's fine.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mayor Mashaki?
Yes. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Somewhere.
Second. Second.
Maybe half an hour?
Okay.
Yes.
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 Yes. Just so you know, that'll be about a half hour if you plan on waiting around until we come back out.
Yep.
We're good.
So we need a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Everybody?
Before you adjourn, Ted, it was just brought to my attention, did you take a picture of that rendering of the three-story proposal?
I don't recall.
I'm going to tell you right now, that was sent to Paula confidentially. It was presented to the governing body confidentially.
I saw you, Ted.
It remains a confidential document and cannot be released.
All right. Committeeman Klaus, you motion to come back into
Yes.
open, and Committeewoman Schneider, you second? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Let's get this stuff cleaned up.
See y'all, have a great Halloween.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
What are you dressing up as?
A lawyer.